Hey, look at that. We're live again here inside the Noman green screen hangar, inside the usual spot here. And I'm here with Dan Katcher. He's interviewing me, for Pete's sake, off of the record. What was the question you asked me? What do I do when I'm not doing interviews? Well, that's a fantastic question. I'm the former brand manager for ZBrush, but now I'm like Uncle Louie, caring from afar. They can't get rid of me, and I don't want to get rid of them either. So
you're doing great work.
I appreciate that very much.
I'm not just saying this because you invited me. But you know, I love ZBrush.
Yeah, and I'm a lover of the ZBrush also, so it's always nice to come home.
Yeah, because before you, I was poor and destitute before ZBrush.
I don't know if poor and destitute.
No, I was poor and destitute and blacklisted. I was blacklisted, poor and destitute.
Well, let's get into this blacklisted business then. How did this come about that you're blacklisted?
Because I'm from New York and I piss people off.
Yeah, we were talking about that off camera. I was saying that being from the East Coast, maybe sometimes people they have a misperception of this, and they misconceptions of this rather. We come across as kind of a little bit more fast-paced and give it to me now, but it's we're lovers, not fighters. I mean, don't owe me money because that's a different situation.
And I think it wasn't just blacklisted. I'm kind of like scatterbrained, and maybe I don't know. I don't even know what happened, but it was getting to the point where I saw, number one, that technology had changed so much, the industry was changing. So I had to change over. I kind of saw that coming, but I also pissed a lot of people off, and I was finding there was very little work as a toy sculptor anymore. And I really didn't want to be a toy sculptor anyway. I really wanted to work in film. So I was more than excited to sit down, learn ZBrush, and do that. At first, it was really painful. Like, I really could not get into the idea of sitting in front of a computer all day. Within like 3 months.
This is going to sound weird. Just hold this strange object near your face.
Oh, yeah, I have to hold this.
Put this strange-looking object, the shaft-like object near your face here. This is a weird...
All right, no, we're not going to do anything dirty with it.
No. No. Hey, now, here we go. I knew this was going to be the case. Catching the catcher here.
No, I'm not going to... All right,
Catcher and the guy. Stop. Hold the phone. Okay. This is what happens, Paul. You see? Let me ask you a serious question here. You just competed in an illustrious event, the ZBrush Sculpt-Off.
Yeah.
Describe the experience of working alongside such a talented group of artists with their own long laundry list of credits to their name.
Oh, it's intimidating. It's totally intimidating. I'm like, yeah, I make the Game of Thrones dragons, but I think everybody there was really talented, and the work was just fantastic. And yeah, I was totally humbled by the experience, and still am. It's so nice that people actually, care at all about the things that I do. So it's it's just an honor and humbling, and it was fun. It was definitely fun, and maybe the most stressed I've been in the last few weeks, I suppose.
Really, that's a fantastic response. I really appreciate that. There's a deep talent pool, more so than every year, and this is not to take anything away from previous years, because the Sculpt-Off continues to just grow in magnitude, and I honestly, the talent pool just keeps getting deeper and deeper and deeper and more expansive. And again, ZBrush continues to touch the lives of people around the globe. We're broadcasting in over 150 countries, several 100,000 viewers around the globe right now, tuning into you and me. Couple of knuckleheads just knuckling along, and here we are.
Yeah, just real quick, I think ZBrush and people that make ZBrush are going to be, in a sense, making the future. We're going to be moving into a world that'll be more virtual, more digital, and you're going to have the capacity soon to be able to print things in your own home, and so there's going to be people that are either going to be creative or replaced by machines, I imagine, at some point, right? So ZBrush is the way in which that us artists will be recreating the world virtually. And this is not going away. This is something that is going to stay and will be here. And our process is not going anywhere.
There's an underlying theme of rebirth with you in what you've been saying. I feel like you're a very flexible kind of guy coming from, this brings me to the first order of business. Who is Dan Katcher? You have a background in animation and even studied at the Art Students League in New York. Mm-hmm. So you're a pretty diverse guy. Tell us more about this. And some of your early works include, actually, before you do that, some of your early works even include collectibles for McFarlane.
That's true.
We might even have to have a hug.
Yeah, if you're a fan of McFarlane toys, I did a lot of those pieces.
Some really
the dragons,
ones, by the way, yeah.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Really,
Oh, yeah, that one with the...
Yeah.
Or what's a sort of a fun little... we talk about Easter eggs on things. If one of the first pieces I did for them was Billy Kincaid. It was a fat guy. You know what the
Yeah, the chubby guy with the. Can I get a shot of me here for a second? I'll be the model. Get us in the pan here. Get a big wide shot for us. The guy looks like this. He's just hanging along, and I think they're.
Yeah.
You know, it's like this. He's just kind of. You go ahead and describe it.
It's my face on him.
Is it really? It's like, so he's like this. And,
Yeah, I just
large
threw my
thing,
own face on there.
The knives in there. That's your face.
Yeah,
Okay.
with fat, well, more fat than I
Just
naturally.
A heavier set version.
Heavier.
Much heavier.
Much heavier.
Like pizza and Coca-Cola.
Yeah. At the rate I'm going, I'll be there soon. But
But so your sculpting work on the Spawn series was fantastic.
oh, thank you.
I can say that. I'm a huge fan of Spawn. I mean, many people in my generation are. Describe the transition from traditional to digital and how you psychologically approach the two mediums.
Psychologically the same. Psychologically the same. It's the same process. I've learned, at least with the, I can't even say newer at this point, iterations of ZBrush. But
The latest and greatest.
The latest and greatest, with every single iteration, I'm able to use the program more like a piece of clay. More like just a lump of stuff that I can move around with my hands and fingers and not think about things technically. So anything I can do to remove having to think about numbers, because I can't think about numbers. I physically, something is busted in my brain when it comes to numbers and programming and iterations. And ZBrush is the first computer program that allowed me to, kind of get over that and get into the digital world. And now, actually, I do know about numbers and iterations and programming a bit since,
sure.
I've been doing it for a long time.
Gain enough experience, right?
You just gain it. I never thought I would or even want to, but I do. Yeah, it's fun. And, I'm sorry, what was you?
Just basically going into the idea of your psychological approach, right? Between the two mediums and saying, well, how do you kind of translate that energy that you would have had in the tacit experience of sculpting in your studio and put it into the digital realm? I mean, you mentioned long hours and your demonstration was actually probably a visual response for that, to be honest with you. You said it just takes time-honored tradition of hard work, sitting there and actually making the damn thing. Rather than thinking you're going to hit the, make cool button.
Yeah, there's no make cool button. There's no grab stuff off the internet button. There's simply a work button and a knowledge button. And again, it's the knowledge that comes from study, from years of study. Luckily, I was born with or unluckily, depending on how you think about it, I was born with very bad vision. I can't see anything without my glasses on. I'm like blind as a bat. But what I can see are tiny little details. So I spent my entire young life looking at little ants crawling on the ground, studying the tiniest minutiae of things, because that's how I saw the world.
Yeah, sure thing.
And so becoming a sculptor was just natural. I was like, I see how the world works in a way that maybe most people can't. It's sort of like my superpower, I guess you'd say, is that I have like microscopic vision.
Hey, we have a lot of things in common, you and I. I just had a physical test done because you asked me what I do when I'm not around here. I'm a professor at the California State University, and I teach here at the Noman School. And in the daytime, I work with the school district here in Glendale. And they gave me a physical. And I went to this physical, and he said, yeah, your eyes, you're getting older, man. Not as good as they could be, but your ears, he says. The doctor comes in, and I'm thinking, man, here I'm going to pay for these years of punk rock. And he says, your ears, I get people who come in here, and they can hear really well. Then sometimes people come in here and they hear even better than really well. But you, sir, you have exponentially good hearing. And so I thought, that's a good point of reference to go home and explain to my family why everyone should be a little quieter. You see what I did there?
I like that. I like the turnaround.
Yeah, see? So you and I, you can, see you.
So don't make tiny little things or...
And on that other note, we were talking off camera, not to digress too far, but we have the same kind of shoes. I don't know if they can get a shot. Maybe we just hold our feet up. Look at that. This is an Onitsuka. Look at that.
Onitsuka Tigers.
Right? Very exclusive type of thing happening here. I'm happy to share that with you.
Yeah.
Only
guy my favorite shoes. Everything. I'm a...
Yeah, I'm a junkie, too, for this stuff, Bruce,
You're a junkie? No,
Hey, now, off the record. Okay, comic book characters. I'm going to get into some murky water with you.
Go ahead.
The hard questions, right? You can handle this. You're from New York. Comic book characters in general, you've mentioned it's not that exciting. Not that much mystery left, and I quote. The Hulk, for instance, which, by the way, if people haven't visited your website, they should definitely visit your website. Your traditional work is par excellence. I mean, the Hulk I'm talking about is like just the example of what it should be. How do you find gas in the tank to push design further with so much saturation in the ether of pop media? How do you go through that? How do you push through that?
I don't look at it. number one.
I mean, especially after having done so much pop type stuff.
Yeah, I mean, how do I
Toys and
keep
action
pushing
figure-
it? You know, especially after the Dragons, which was kind of like my dream. You know, when I saw Dragon Slayer when I was a kid, I was like, I'm going to do that one day. I said to myself then, I'm like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a scene with a dragon in it, and it's going to beat that. And that was my goal in life. I don't know if I beat it, but
I think you might have made. I think you might
maybe
have passed
did it. I don't know. I mean, that's
The
up
bar
to the
may
public
have
to judge.
been
I'm not going to make that call. But I fulfilled that dream. But now, how do I keep pushing forward? That's the easy part. Survival. Because I don't want somebody else having all the fun, right? I want to be the guy doing the creative stuff. I like doing it. It's like a drug. It's addictive. I can't stop myself from wanting to be creative and making up these monsters. So I'm going to put every ounce of my being into making sure that everything I do is an example of me, that it represents me. And I try to remember that if at some point that I start falling off or trailing off, I'll lose that ability to be creative. At least that's how I see it. So
Interesting.
So it's like a survival.
Okay.
You know,
So
desperation.
you're not the first person to mention that here on the program. Is that it's a natural recourse. I think it was earlier. Tully Summers was saying that it was second to breathing. That this process of being creative was just a natural, connected thing to his fabric of who he is, and I think that's interesting to hear you say that as well. It's a running theme that continues. This is not the first time here inside the ZBrush Summit that this happens, that there's a running theme. It seems that tends to be the case, and I'm happy to hear you say that as well.
Yeah, I think for those of us that, you know, a lot of us in the field that are professionals that have been doing this for a long time have been doing this since they were children, and have a real passion for it. And guys that really have a passion for it, it shows in their work. And guys that don't, it shows in their work too. So, you know, yeah, loving what you do, it makes all the difference in the world. And being passionate about it and not just settling. Because that, to me, what's the point of living if you're just going to settle with something? If you're going to see what you've already seen, that's so boring. It's no point. So yeah, pushing it is just what I do.
Yeah, trying to find examples of design and trying to push design further is probably something that I stress the most with my students at all levels, especially here at the Noman School. There's a lot of content, as you can see around, and that is within a certain language, a certain vein, and I say, well, maybe you ought to look for some reference from other places that are not typical.
Yeah.
See? And so lately, I'm happy to say that the work has been very, very different.
I mean, you know, one of the rules, and one of my idols is John Kirkfalusi. I don't know, you know who he is, the Ren and Stimpy.
Oh,
He made Ren and Stimpy.
yeah, okay, cool.
I know you're thinking, guy likes dragons.
Hey, Ren!
Ren and Stimpy is
Yeah.
like one of my favorite things ever in the whole world.
Me too, actually.
Love it.
Watched the hell out of that when I was a kid.
But John Kay he's still alive. He is brutal. He is brutal to the people that work for him. He will not accept, he'll look at something and he said, if he saw that before, throw it away. I've seen that before. I've seen that facial expression before. Throw it away. And I'm like the same way. If I've seen that before, that's how I know I've not pushed it. If someone looks at that and says to me, hey, Dan, that looks just like fail. Now I start again.
Yeah, on an epic level. We have a little saying in our bathroom at home. I wake up to this saying every morning, and it says, in order to be irreplaceable, one must always be different. Coco Chanel, and I think, you know, that's been in every bathroom I've lived in Los Angeles. It's like I'm always trying, regardless of what it is, regardless of the medium, trying to do it in my own way that's a departure from the influences that I've sort of absorbed. You know, whether it's Monk or, you know, whether it's this new drawing book actually came in the mail the other day. It was the drawings limited to 2,000 copies. It was Odd Nerdrum drawings. Fantastic body of works. That's really, you know, only made possible because they were doing a collected works presentation at a museum on the East Coast, and all the collectors got together and put this book, you know, made this book possible when they were doing it in the early 90s. So I managed to pick up a copy, and I thought, oh, that's just fascinating stuff. It's just looking at those pencil drawings lately. It's just really.
Yeah, I miss pencils.
You know, the day gig, as we'll call it, or the gig is to play around inside the digital clay, right?
Yeah.
You know, ideas born in clay. As
Come
I've
up
said
with
a million
monsters.
times. Absolutely. Do you still you know, go back and forth between mediums, and what kind of work are you doing in a traditional sense, if at all, right now?
To be honest, the only traditional work I do is I will sit with my kid and make Play-Doh.
Yeah,
Snakes.
same deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing that. We're doing.
I make Play-Doh.
Got the clay, right? We got the clay. And we got one tool.
Yeah.
Just a little knife.
I got the little tool.
Yeah, made of wood, right?
It's a wooden tool.
Yeah, same.
My
See, here we are.
son loves the wooden tool, and we love silly putty.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's about the extent of my traditional work, or birthday cards. I draw birthday cards for people.
Yes, same here. I put a little character on there. Man, we got a lot in common, me and this guy. It's a pleasure.
You like that?
This is interesting stuff. So the other thing was the presentation here today was, dealing with really a well-known property. The success of the program. How has that affected you on a personal level? I mean, generally just kind of out there in the ether of the world.
Well, out there in the ether of the world. I mean, it's nice. It's nice that when I meet people, they love what I do and they appreciate what I do, and it feels good. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to have recognition. Does it come with everybody's throwing money at me or anything that resembles it? No, not even close, man. But it doesn't matter because I just really am happy to have made something that I think people will remember for a long time. Maybe even till after I'm dead, they'll still be looking at that dragon. And that's really all that matters. In a sense, if I do nothing else in this world, they'll remember that. And that's enough.
I think you've laid the foundations, more than enough foundations to be remembered. I mean, you have a laundry list of credits. I mean, when I say a laundry list of credits, this guy, I couldn't fit the accolades on a piece of paper that would span the entirety of this studio space. The other thing is that most recently, you're working on the Game of Thrones series, which is this is the recent stuff.
Yeah.
But and that's 3 Emmys.
Yeah, they're 4.
4, excuse me, that's 4.
Oh, wait, is it 3?
No, it's 3. It's actually 3.
It's 3 now, right? Yeah, there's 3 on my wall.
3 Emmys.
I saw I was missing one. That's right, because they missed the one for the... Yeah, we're not going to get it this year.
Okay, well, you can't win them all the time. What can we say? But so 3 Emmys is something...
3 Emmys.
That's some stuff to hang a hat on.
Yeah, I mean, it is, but...
But not to rest upon, as well. It's very important that we state this. You're not resting on your laurels.
No, and I can't.
You've never.
I don't. Unlike actors, I don't get residuals. So every time you see Drogon on the screen, I don't get a dime. Every time you see Daenerys, she's a lovely lady, but she gets a little money. I don't. Maybe you don't. I don't know how it works with residuals with actors, but no. In this business, we don't get residuals, so I constantly have to work, whether I want to or not. But I, fortunately, would rather be doing nothing but working. That's the honest truth. I love spending time with my family and kids, but being creative, like I said, it's the most addictive thing in the world.
I think so as well. It's a really rewarding experience to be able to sort of project from your mind ideas and concepts and bring them into reality.
Well, it's... To be honest with you, I mean, people ask you, where do these ideas come from? Yeah, I've studied all this stuff, and the real truth is, I'm not really sure. They just sort of happen. Things just kind of happen. When I sit down, I always think of myself in a sense of my brain's working, but it's working on a level that even I'm not really consciously aware of. So when I'm in my state of Zen, let's call it that, you could probably talk to me and I wouldn't hear you. There's a lot of people around me who are working with headphones on or watching the news or whatever it is they're doing while they're working, but me, I'm in total silence, focused in a way that puts me outside of our sphere of reality. I'm doing it from some other place.
That's also very interesting because I was talking with some students the other day at the local high school, and we were going through the process of design, and they said, "Where do these ideas come from?" We were doing a thumbnail exercise, just sort of ideating, and I said, "Well, they're like visitors, they come in to the room, and I'm just literally showing you who they are. They come in like on a turntable, they're walking in and they're just presenting themselves one at a time. I said,
yeah.
Oh, here she comes, or oh, here he is, and they're in alignment directly with the theme or the topic we've been discussing.
Yeah.
And so the narrative is there, and it presents itself as at least a foundational underpinning. And I think that, that imaginative sort of space is something that we're very fortunate to have as a gift,
Yeah, I'm fortunate. I was, it was something I was kind of born with. I've been doing it for so long. In all fairness, everybody, this is not something I decided one day as an adult. I'm just going to, become an artist. No, I was always an artist.
I'm so glad that you're saying that, because I feel the same way. I feel like in so much that if I look back, really look back, I can call to mind a project working with an old VHS camcorder. In like elementary school or middle school, and the teacher saying, "What do you want to do?" And I say, "Oh, I'm going to make a Spider-Man movie," and making the Spider-Man and I believe it might have been the Lizard. out of like Play-Doh, you know, and thinking, and then figuring on pointing the camcorder at the monitor and getting this kind of strange, you know, shift happen where those buildings are kind of, it sounds ridiculous today, but it makes all the sense in the world, and it frames exactly where we are today. I'm getting the slice and dice treatment from behind the camera again.
Free.
We are here live from the shadow of the Hollywood sign inside of the green screen hangar, the Noman School of Visual Effects store. We were catching up with the Katcher. That's Dan Katcher for all of you watching at home and here inside the studio audience. I want to say thanks on behalf of Pixelogic, myself, Louie Tucci. Back over to you, Paul, and the fans inside the green screen hangar.